Okay, so today I wanted to drop a video regarding the free agent options that the New York Knicks are going to have for this off season. So I want to drop some names. Victor Oladipo, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Joe Harris, Malik Beasley, Duncan Robinson, Damian Dotson. What do all these NBA players have in common aside playing in the NBA? These are what are considered wing players. Wing players are players that can be interchangeable between a shooting guard and a small forward. That's a wing player. And today it's very popular. Very few players are really just one or the other. Every team has wing players. Aside from that, they're all players that can shoot the basketball. Okay, they're very good at shooting the basketball. Now, for the New York Knicks, as far as I see, the spots where we would be able to really benefit from really good shooters are the 4 spot and the wing spot, which is the 2 or the 3. The reason I say wing is because R.J. Barrett is a wing. And if a guy we acquire is better off at the 2 guard, then R.J. Barrett will be better off at the small forward, and vice versa. So let's go through these players one by one. Victor Oladipo is not a free agent, but in May, it was revealed through Clutch Point website that he was insulted by the 4-year, $80 million offer that the Indiana Pacers put on the table, and that the negotiations were cut off abruptly because he was insulted, and that it's not clear if Indiana is going to offer him any more than that. This is the last year of a contract that pays him $21 million per year. He had a 4-year, $84 million contract. He is 28 years old. This is going to be, he just turned 28 in May. So you're going to get him in his age 28 season. He's in his prime. He's obviously coming off a very major injury. It's kind of a kneecap thigh injury. But in the bubble, he looked like he was back to his old self. Being aggressive, his speed was there, his hustle was there. So at this point, that combined with the fact that the Indiana owner is very cost conscious and they are a small market, he might be looking to deal Oladipo and save the money. Oladipo has the leverage. He has the leverage because he can choose what team he wants to go to. Not officially, but unofficially. That's the way the NBA works these days. So, and the reason he can do that is because whatever team he goes to is going to want him to sign an extension. Otherwise, they just have a 1-year rental. Okay? And Indiana is going to obviously be looking for some assets for Victor Oladipo. But the longer the time waits, the higher the stakes rise, and it goes all the way to the trade deadline. Otherwise, Victor Oladipo will go into next season an unrestricted free agent, and Indiana will have let him walk for nothing. Probably they don't want to do that, being that he's a 2-time All-Star and a 2-way player on a high level when he's not hurt. Now, where did the Knicks come in? It is not clear whether Victor Oladipo will be willing to come to the New York Knicks at all. You're going to be a developing team. But one thing I want to start off the video with. NBA players have an order of things. What do I mean by that? Think of yourself. You're drafted into the NBA. Maybe you're 20 years old, 22 years old, 23 years old even. Okay? You have a limited amount of time to make the amount of money you're going to make as a professional athlete in the National Basketball Association. The good thing is that the contracts are guaranteed. So for the most part. So you're going, although there's some non-guaranteed contracts, but for the most part, your contract is guaranteed. But you want to maximize how much money you can make. Why is that? You have a family, you have children, you have a mother or a father, you have people you take care of. Many NBA players do. So you want to maximize the amount of money you make. In the NBA, they call it getting the bag. You want to get the biggest contract you can, especially you only get generally, unless you're a very top level player like a LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, those type of players. They're going to get paid regardless. But outside of those top tier, the top 5 players in the NBA, most people want, and even them, they want to get the bag first. Once that is established, they want to win. And third, they want to play in a place that they like. Okay. So Victor Oladipo is kind of in between. I'm sure he wants to win, obviously. But the 84 million is a lot of money that he just signed for, that he's just coming off that contract. But he's in his prime now. This is the last big contract he will get. So he's looking for the bag. Now, what will it take? I don't know. But what I do believe is that the Knicks can offer Indiana. I don't want you to tell me what you think. The Knicks can offer Indiana the 27th pick in this year's draft and the 2023 pick from Dallas with Julius Randle. Their salaries are pretty much matched. Julius Randle's just shy of 19 million. Victor Oladipo's 21 million. It would take probably 2 million of our cap space. And the Knicks, I would suggest, would offer, if they wanted Victor Oladipo, I would take the chance. And I'll tell you why in a second. But I would offer him 4 years, $100 million. That's $25 million per year. I would offer him that. 4 years, $100 million. And the reason I do that is because as I watched him, of course, he would have to go through a battery of tests. Our staff, our medical people have to thoroughly check him. And make sure that, that his knee is solid, that his leg is solid, that he's in good health. We're not going to do an Amari Stoudemire where we can't even insure his knees because they're so bad and we're signing to $100 million. No, I want to make sure he's healthy. I want to make sure he's checked well. And if he is, I would sign him. And you'll have your two guard spot will be locked up for the next 3 years. I said 4 years, but in the 4th year, generally we'd be looking to trade him. He'd be in his age 31 season. And we probably would be looking to trade him as an expiring deal. So we have 3 good years of prime Victor Oladipo. Again, it's not guaranteed. I don't even know he wants to come to New York. It's a developing situation, but he can get the bag here. At least one team that can do it. There's several teams that could do this. San Antonio is available. They will have some cap space to do that. Miami could do that. There's a couple of teams that are on the cusp that could do that. That could pay him that kind of money. Orlando, who drafted him, they could do that too. But they have Evan Fournier at the 2 spot, but Evan Fournier is also an unrestricted free agent. So there's that. So that's my number 1 guy. Second, Joe Harris. Joe Harris is on the Nets. The Nets are going to be in luxury tax territory. If they sign Joe Harris to the $15 million that's been floated, they're going to have a luxury tax around $40 to $50 million. That'll be a luxury tax. Now, maybe they don't care about paying that. Maybe they don't. And maybe they sign him that. If I'm the Knicks, I offer him 3 years, $54 million. Joe Harris is 29. He also is in his prime and he's a wing. And of course, he's a tremendous shooter. In fact, all of the people that I'm naming here can shoot the basketball. Okay. So now, that's my second option. 3 years, $18 million per year. The Knicks, by the way, will have, with the $115 million cap, right now it was 109, but now it's 115. The luxury tax cap is 132.6 million. So if the Knicks will have $50 million in cap space. Actually, it'll be a little more than that. It'll probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of 52, 53 million. If they re-sign or exercise the option on Taj Gibson, it goes down obviously to like 42 million. And if they exercise the option on Reggie Bullock, it goes to like 38 million. Okay. So, I'm assuming they're going to keep Taj Gibson. I know a lot of Knicks fans don't like that, but Taj is a Tibbs guy. And if they don't exercise the option, Taj will still get $7 to $8 million on the open market. So I don't know what the benefit is of letting him walk and then trying to get him back. Okay, so Taj will probably stay. Bullock is a shooter, a good shooter, and he's on a $4 million deal, which is pretty cheap for a shooter. So we're going to keep him probably. So $38 million is what we're probably working with. 18 of that I would offer to a wing, which I'm talking about Joe Harris now. 3 years, $54 million, $18 million per. Second wing, we're talking about Malik Beasley. Another tremendous shooter. He's a young guy. He's only 24. And he's just coming off his rookie deal. Minnesota, who he plays for Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota has the number 1 pick in the draft. If they pick Anthony Edwards, he plays Malik Beasley's position. And you have Malik Beasley, Jarrett Culver, and Edwards all at the same spot. It's kind of a logjam. I don't think Jarrett Culver would have a problem coming off the bench, but in a contract year, I think Malik Beasley would like to start. I would offer him in the neighborhood of $12 million a year. 12 to 14 million a year. I would say 12. 36 million over 3 years. At age 24. That gets him to his prime years. You can see what he could do at that point. Okay. Also, I mentioned Damian Dotson. Damian Dotson has not had proper coaching. He has not had development that he should have, as we know as Knicks fans. And he has ability. Now, looking at his stats, it doesn't look like it. Okay. But if you're a Knicks fan, if you watch the games, you know he has the ability to shoot the basketball and he plays good defense. In fact, the best defensive combinations on the Knicks for the last 3 years have involved Damian Dotson and Frank Ntilikina. Right, those are the best combinations the Knicks have had on defense. The only winning combination. And then later, Mitchell Robinson, because he came a year after those guys. So so he plays well. They play good defense when they're playing on the floor together for extended minutes. I think if he gets opportunity, if he gets some burn, he will be a very good, either a starting wing or coming off the bench as a wing. So I would like the Knicks to really, they got right now a qualifying offer extended to Damian Dotson for $2 million. That means he can go on the open market and see what else he can get. Whatever he's offered, we should sign him. Okay. I want to keep Damian Dotson. $2 million is nothing, for the Knicks. All right. Also now, let's not forget Bogdan Bogdanović of the Kings. There's been lots of reports that he's unhappy there, that he's feeling unwanted there. They just signed Buddy Hield to a long contract. Buddy Hield is the guy, they play the same position. Bogdanović wants to start. He's another guy that shoots the three extremely well. And so we definitely want to look into that. I would offer, he's 27 years old. So he's in his prime right now. I would say 3 years, 42 million, 14 million per. I would offer Bogdanović. He has a qualifying offer right now of 10.6 million with the Kings. Then there's Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson is shooting 55% from the 3-point line. If you're watching the playoffs, you can see he's playing his butt off. He's coming out of a Miami system that's teaching him how to play defense as well. He wasn't a great defender, but the Miami system, you have to play defense. I mean, you're talking about Thibodeau. Eric Spoelstra is not far from that. Okay. So, but I think Miami's going to re-sign him. They'd be stupid not to. They're going to have 31 million in cap space. He's coming off obviously a minimum contract. Miami has done a tremendous development job. We need to copy that. Between him and Nunn and then the drafting of Bam Adebayo and then Tyler Herro, these guys have done a tremendous job of developing and scouting players. All of those guys play major roles in their 4-0 sweep of Indiana. So that's a tremendous job. So Duncan Robinson is on a non-guaranteed contract for the coming year. That's another guy I'd offer 3 years, $12 million a year, $36 million. Okay. So those are your wings. Then the other spot, the stretch four. Interesting situation on the stretch four. Ian Begley reported about 3 months ago that the Knicks management has made it clear that they're looking for a stretch four, somebody that can shoot the ball from the 4 spot. That says a lot, because then Bobby Porter sent out a tweet and said they have a stretch four, talking about himself. Of course, he is not a starting caliber four. We know that now after watching him play ourselves. And he's being overpaid at $15 million. They're not going to keep him at that number. So that's it. And so, and then, he's a good stretch four coming off the bench. Not at $15 million though. So, options at the stretch four. In order, Marcus Morris, who we know and who can play two-way basketball. Davis Bertans. Danilo Gallinari. And Jeremy Grant. So let's go through these players. My first choice would be Marcus Morris, because we know him. I think 2 years, $30 million. This is the deal he signed last year, which I don't think he's going to get anywhere else. And I think he liked it here in New York. He's another one that's looking for the bag, looking for as much money as he can get. He's never been a top tier player, but he's always been a good player. And so I think we can get him back here for 2 years, $30 million. Maybe 2 years, $32 million, 15 to 16 a year. I think we can get Mook back in here. And I like Mook here. He took well to be in the first and second option. He obviously plays the game with the New York swag. I like everything about him. I want to bring him back. Second option would be Davis Bertans. Probably the best sharpshooter in this group that's available. Washington has him now. They have his bird rights. They can exceed the cap to sign him. I would if I was them, because you got John Wall coming back with Bradley Beal, and they got Rui Hachimura also starting along the front line. They got a good core nucleus of young people, and they have I think they're taking the ninth pick this year, right after us. So they're going to get another good player. So I would try to sign Davis Bertans and exceed the cap to do so if they're serious about winning this year, which they have to be, because Beal and Wall are in their years where this is their playoff championship window if they're going to have one. Just in case they don't, though, I would offer Bertans also 3 years, $54 million, all fully guaranteed for him, because he's only 27 also. Third on the list for me would be actually Jeremy Grant. I'd like Jeremy Grant as my next pick. He's got a $9 million player option this year coming in the season, which he can decline. But if you're Jeremy Grant, you and your agent got to find out how much you're worth on the open market. Jeremy Grant's a two-way player. His last 2 seasons, he has shot 39% from the 3-point. I was watching him last night as they were playing Utah, and if you saw that game, you saw Donovan Mitchell was going berserk. But the guy they kept putting on him, their best defender, was Jeremy Grant, which tells you something. So they were having Jeremy Grant on the hottest, toughest guy on the other team. Of course, Donovan Mitchell is a handful. The thing about the NBA that people have to understand is that there's a lot of players. That one of the things that makes it the greatest league in the world is that you have a number of players, and every team has at least one that cannot be guarded one-on-one. That's just the way it is. And so if you can get a guy that's a willing defender that has some talent at it as well, you want to take that guy, and that's Jeremy Grant. So he's a two-way player, shoots 39% from the 3-point line the last 2 seasons, improving player, age 26. I'm looking at Jeremy Grant again, 3 years, $48 million, $16 million per, guaranteed. That's what I'm looking at for Jeremy Grant. And I'm thinking we have a shot at him, because Denver, as much as they like him, they have other choices to make, and that they got to make as far as salary. They got a big salaries already, but they obviously may want to keep him. But I would offer him that and see what happens. Last on the list is Gallinari. Gallinari was drafted by the Knicks. Another one of those players that the Knicks traded that became very good on other teams and made playoffs with other teams. Danilo Gallinari we already know he's a good 3-point shooter, 6'10", classic stretch 4. Oklahoma City cannot keep him. They're over the tax line. They're a repeat offender in the luxury tax. Their owner is in a small market. They don't want to pay that, so he's going to go. They were very close to sending him to Miami at the trade deadline. I think he wants to go to Miami. Miami has the cap space to do it, so we may not be able to get him. But I'm thinking a 2-year deal in the neighborhood of $20 million per, second year as a team option, just like we have with a lot of these guys last year. 20 years, 20 million the first year guaranteed, but second year team option. And that's what I'm saying. So let's go over this real quick. So as far as and again, this addresses the shooting that everybody's concerned with, including myself. But a lot of people want to solve it in the draft. But I think we can get a good all-around player in Devin Vassell in the draft. So we don't have to worry about, I'm not concerned with shooting. A lot of people want to get us to get Kyra Lewis, and I totally get that. I like the kid. I think with some development, he's going to be really good. But I don't know if he's going to be available at 27. I would not pick him before Devin Vassell at 8, though. Vassell's a better player. Okay, he may not be a point guard, but he's a better player. Okay, and so he's a two-way player, and I'm seeing some real possibilities with Vassell. But Kyra Lewis, yeah, if we can get him. But if I'm getting Victor Oladipo in my starting five, is Victor Oladipo, Frank Ntilikina, R.J. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and either Marcus Morris, Davis Bertans, Jeremy Grant, or Danilo Gallinari, I'm very happy. Or if my wing player with RJ and Frank is Malik Beasley, Joe Harris, Bogdanovich, I'm happy because these guys can shoot the rock. So you're putting shooters around RJ, Frank, and Mitch. Very good. And then you still got Reggie Bullock, another shooter coming off the bench, and Damian Dotson, another shooter coming off the bench. Okay, so I like that. Tom Thibodeau basically plays about 8 guys, and he runs them to death. That's what he does. And so I'm thinking if we keep Taj Gibson, we got Taj Gibson, Dot, and Reggie Bullock coming off the bench. Now, as people would ask, what about Kevin? I think Kevin should definitely get some time. I think he will definitely get some time. It's maybe. Well, an 82-game season, he would. He's just going to get some opportunities. I hope he comes into camp strong and ready to go. I'm not worried about Kevin this year because, in my view, people are writing him off way too long, way too soon. The kid is a baby. He's a baby. He's just going to, I don't know, I think he's going to turn 21 this summer. So he's a 4-year project. We were only 2 years into it. Anybody talking about getting rid of Knox is an idiot. You want to keep this kid and develop him. Okay, if he hasn't shown what people want, it's not his fault. The boy works his butt off. It's the coaching staff. So 2 more seasons, I'm not even worried about Kevin. He's like in the oven cooking. So let him continue to work. Let's see what we can do with him this year. If he can contribute, fantastic. We just keep developing him. Okay, and then in his 4th year, we look closely and see how the cake is turned out. But this year, I'm not worried about Kevin. As long as he puts forth the effort, comes to play every day, tries to get better every day. That's all I can ask for this kid. He's a gangly boy, and he's not even grown into his man's body yet. Leave Kevin Knox alone. I think he's going to be a really good player. I'm looking at all-star potential with this boy. It's just going to be that he's a late bloomer. He's going to be a late bloomer, okay? So you got to wait till he's like 23 and before you start talking anything about him, okay? But so I'm not sure where he's going to play in Tom Thibodeau's rotation. He really should get time before any other backup fours. He should be the first backup 4 if they want to really develop him and let Taj Gibson back up Mitchell Robinson. That's what I'm thinking. Let Kevin back up whoever we sign at the 4. Let Taj back up Mitchell Robinson at the 5. And then, of course, you have Dot and Bullock on the wing as backup. That's what I look at it. Now, people might be asking, what about Julius Randle? If they're telling you they want to stretch 4, they're telling you Julius Randle's not starting. All right, let me say that again. If Ian Begley is correct, and I believe him, and they're saying the Knicks are putting out that they want to get a stretch 4, starting stretch 4, we know Julius Randle is not a starting stretch 4. So they're telling you he's not starting. Now, will Julius Randle take a bench role after being signed to be the number 1 option, which we know he obviously is not good at? I don't know. I don't think so. That's why I'm thinking they're probably going to shop him. And I would shop him first for Victor Oladipo and see if we can get Victor Oladipo. Why would the Indiana Pacers do that? Well, they're not going to sign Victor Oladipo. They're doing it for the draft picks. If they don't have a first rounder this year. So if we can get them the 27th pick and then the 2023 first rounder from Dallas, they have 2 draft picks. They don't have any draft picks right now. They have a second rounder, like 50, something like that. But Indiana doesn't have a first round pick this year. Okay. So that's why they're doing it. They're not doing it for Julius Randle because he's also going to be an expiring deal. Basically, he's got a team option on the third year. So he's got this year at 19 and there's a team option for next year. They can decide if they want to keep him or not. He's definitely going to be a backup to Sabonis. So, and that'd be better for him for everybody involved. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Tell me what you guys think. Thanks for watching.